Grand Prix Formula One racing returns to its homeland of Europe after 2 exciting and testing events in Brazil and South Africa. The competition was fierce, with the turbo power advantage narrowing into a fine line that presented 7 cars all qualifying within the same second at the last GP. But now the gloves come off as 15 teams and 27 drivers rely heavily on the knowledge gained about themselves and their competition to squeeze every last tenth of a second from their lap times, looking for any type of an advantage over one another. Yet it won't be the heat of Rio or the altitude of Kyalami that challenges men and machine here, but how best to negotiate the ultra-fast corners and extremely hard braking areas around this quick Zolder, Belgium circuit. When it comes to negotiations, Belgium is a fitting host. Being the world headquarters for both NATO and the European Common Market, Belgium and its capital, Brussels, is a major European center for commerce, communications, and all types of international sporting events. That makes this small country an excellent starting point for the Formula One World Championship to begin its 11-event European contest, taking in the entire continent. Belgium may be small in size and population, but not in motorsports enthusiasm and success. This will be their 31st Grand Prix since 1950. Historically, the long and legendary 4.3-mile circuit located at Spa-Francorchamps has hosted most of these events. But this year, it's Zolder's turn, and 84 marks their 10th Grand Prix since 1972. National hero and 4-time Le Mans 24-hour winner Jackie Ickx carried the Belgium tricolor into 116 Grand Prix, scoring 8 victories. Jackie is retired from single-seater competition, but today his protege, Thierry Boutsen, makes his lucky 13th F1 start, looking for all the success possible, driving the brand new N7 Barclay Aeros BMW Turbo before a home crowd of 100,000 plus. This is John Bizignano, about 35 miles northeast of Brussels, in a cool but clear Zolder, Belgium. I'll be your host, along with Simon Taylor, for this ESPN 90-minute coverage of the Belgium Grand Prix for Formula One racing cars. Simon and I will be presenting the complete Grand Prix story, including driver interviews, technical reports, all the latest F1 updates, plus the fantastic Grand Prix race action. So please join us after this short message when we return for the 3rd round of the 1984 Grand Prix season and a detailed look at the turbo power of Formula One. We'll be right back. Currently, 25 of 27 Grand Prix cars are using turbocharged engines. 7 builders are involved, with 6 of these being automotive manufacturers such as Renault, Honda, BMW. In recent years, nothing has affected Formula One racing more than when Renault introduced the first turbo engine into modern GP racing back in 1977. It took this type of motor 7 years to win the World Championship. Now, it can be a pitfall for those of us totally involved in motorsports to assume that everyone understands the mechanics of an important element as well as we do. I found this especially true relative to the design, function, and operation of the turbo engine. Can you tell me how a turbocharger works on a Formula One engine? No? No? You've been around racing for years. Can you tell me how it works?
Turbo?
Turbo. You tell me how a turbo engine works on a Formula One car. Is it with the fuel or the...
Fuel.
All fuel.
Okay.
That's wrong. Can you explain to us how a turbocharged Formula One engine works?
Yes, I think so. Basically what happens is the fuel is injected into the turbocharger under pressure, and spits out in the RPMs. That determines your RPMs, and there you go. How's that?
That's wrong. How does a turbo engine in a Formula One car work?
It's very easy, you know. It almost works like another engine, but it has a turbo.
What does the turbo do?
Don't ask me. I'm not the engineer.
This is normally the part of the program where we ask an expert's detailed explanation. Well, we did that and received such a detailed explanation that it even confused me. So you're going to have to rely on a non-expert's simple understanding of the turbo engine, which is my own. Keep one point in mind. The all-important function of the turbo is to provide extra air at the point and time of combustion. Now, we've all fanned an open fire with a newspaper or magazine, or seen the old cowboy movies where the blacksmith pumps away on his bellows, creating a hot enough fire to actually melt iron. Well, it's the same theory behind a modern turbocharged Formula One engine. What the turbocharger does is provide extra air to the point of combustion. This creates a bigger bang because there's more air. That is what drives the pistons up and down. If you have an expansion of gas after ignition that pushes a piston up and down, the way to increase the power of that expansion of gas is to provide more air. Let's see how the engineers put the theory into use. Just like your passenger car, the exhaust comes out of the engine, but then it's channeled through a turbo fan. This fan can turn up to 100,000 times a minute. Then it's expelled out the back of the car through the tailpipe. Now, what happens once this fan is running by the exhaust fumes, it sucks air from the outside into this compressor, and that is where you double your atmosphere 1 or 2 times. As the air is now doubled 1 or 2 times, it passes through a quite large cooling system called an intercooler. Many people think it should be called an aftercooler because what it's doing is cooling the air after it's been compressed. Now, it goes from about 200 degrees centigrade through this cooler, and when it comes out, it's about 40 degrees centigrade, which is an acceptable temperature to go into the combustion chamber, where it's mixed with the fuel. And that's where it all happens, the Big Bang. Fuel plus 1, 2, or possibly 3 times the normal atmosphere. More air, bigger bang, and a lot more power. Larry Bootson driving for Team Barclay Arrows. Larry, this weekend you have 650 horsepower at the back of your head rather than 525. Is that a big difference?
The engine is just great, you know, the amount of power we have now, it's just incredible. You can't believe it when you first drive it. It's really, really good. But after a while you get used to it, and it's just like a normal engine after well, maybe after 1 day, you know. But when you first started, it's just incredible.
Well, do you have to adapt your driving style differently to handle that 125, 130 extra horsepower?
Well, you have to do it for the extra horsepower, but you also have to do it for the turbo lag, you know. The throttle lag is quite long compared to a normal aspirated engine with these turbos, and you have to adapt your driving style to the turbo, that's right.
This is the first year that you've actually been able to keep up with much of the competition on the straightaway. That must help your mental approach to the Grand Prix weekend.
Yeah, that's right. For me, it's like a new start in Formula One, you know. Now I can keep up with the big guys, with the big cars, you know. They were in front of me all the time in the past, but now I can keep up with them in the straight. It's really nice.
Technically, you would rather be a turbo driver then, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure, that's right.
It's the only way to win at this point in Formula One.
Yes, because the engines are so powerful compared to the old Cosworth, so the difference is very, very big, and we have to have a turbo to win a race now.
Now, you have an added responsibility here in Belgium to perform well. Is that an extra weight on your shoulders being in your home Grand Prix?
I don't think so. I think it's just like a normal race for me. And I'm starting with a brand new car, brand new engine, and we have to develop it completely from scratch. So I think the work is important, and I don't see why I would have more pressure here than anywhere else. You know, I do the same job here and in all the races.
The development of the turbo racing engine is another great example how motorsports continues to help with the safety and efficiency of road cars. But on the track, the racing turbo exists for only one reason, because there's still no substitute for pure horsepower. Simon Taylor will return with the qualifying story right after this short message. Stay with us.
Niki Lauda, the most experienced Grand Prix driver in the business, leads the field out for qualifying here for the Belgian Grand Prix at Zolder. It's 2 years since the Belgian Grand Prix has been held at this circuit, and so qualifying and practice is all important, not only to ensure that the cars are perfectly set up for the race, but also to earn the best positions on the starting grid. The fastest qualifying time gets pole position, and that's a real advantage to start the race with. As John was telling us, these cars develop about 650 horsepower in race trim, but now, when they're set up for qualifying, when their turbocharged engines don't have to last for 200 miles, but have to develop maximum power just for a few minutes, the turbocharger boost is wound up, and they may be developing as much as 800 horsepower. They're also using very different tyres for qualifying, the stickiest, softest rubber that they've got. This is Alain Prost, the current World Championship leader, the teammate of Niki Lauda in the McLaren, but this is the man who's got the pole position. Michele Alboreto, the young new recruit into the Ferrari team, he has put the turbocharged Ferrari onto pole position with the quickest lap of all. On the tight, twisting 2.6-mile circuit, he's averaged over 127 miles an hour.
Michele Alboreto on pole position here at the Belgium Grand Prix. You look like you were working very hard out there, Michele.
Yeah, we worked very hard about the race, because we tried out the race tires and the full tanks this morning. And in the afternoon with the qualified car is perfect, and I have not problem to do in pole position.
Well, let me ask you, yesterday you were 10th in qualifying, and today you were 3.5 seconds faster. What were the changes you made to the car?
Yesterday morning we tried out with the full tanks and the race tire, and we have not tested with the qualifier. In fact, in the afternoon the car have not the right balance for the qualified tires. This morning we try for half an hour the qualified tires for fix the right balance, the aerodynamic balance, and in the afternoon we have no problem.
Tires are very important here, and Goodyear was, in the first part of the season, having a little bit of trouble with their radials, but now they seem to have got them quite right.
Yeah, but here the tire is not bad. Qualified tires, but especially the race tire is very good, and I'm very happy because tomorrow is very important to have very good tires.
Now, you started from pole position many times in your Formula 2 career, but this is your first pole position in Formula 1. What's it going to be like to have another 25 F1 cars behind you tomorrow?
I try that in Brazil, and I think I prefer this situation than the Kyalami situation.
You're the first Italian driver for Ferrari in many years, brought into the team by Enzo himself. This has to be a lifelong dream for you to be on the front row of a 1-2 qualifying for Ferrari position?
I'm very happy because for one Italian driver it's very important to drive good with Ferrari. And I'm so happy now, and I hope to drive good for all the season.
It's a 1-2 qualifying for Ferrari because this man, the little Frenchman René Arnoux with the staring brown eyes, was just half a second slower than his teammate, and that makes him second fastest of all. With the two red Ferraris on the front of the grid, a lot of memories go back 2 years this day when the very popular French-Canadian Gilles Villeneuve crashed Ferrari number 27 and was fatally injured. In his memory, the whole Ferrari team want to put on a good show here at Zolder. So Ferrari's first and second, and this man third quickest, the white and green Williams Honda of the Finnish driver Keke Rosberg, world champion 2 years ago, and now with the turbocharged Honda engine in the back of the British Williams. Rosberg always one of the hardest chargers in the Grand Prix circus, but a car that isn't right yet.
Keke, you've qualified very well in the last 2 races. Do you feel the Honda is totally competitive against the Ferraris and Renaults now?
Well, first of all, I think part of the reason why we're qualifying well is that I think I'm about the only human being in the world who enjoys qualifying. Because I think that's what racing is about, is try to go fast. Yeah, we're pretty pleased with the engine. There's been a lot of development going on lately and will be in the future. Yeah, we're competitive with the engine. We haven't got anything that we should say is superior, but a good, honest engine at the moment. I would say our main problems have been more in the chassis department than in engine.
You say you enjoy qualifying. Is it the challenge to just squeeze the last tenth of a second out of a track and conditions and equipment possible? Is that what you enjoy about it?
I suppose it's that as well, but also it gives you one opportunity to enjoy a car and just forget how badly it handles, how well it handles. Is it understeering, pushing, I'm sorry, or what the bad habits of it are. You just go for it, you know.
Can a driver make up for bad characteristics of a car on a given day?
I don't know. Can a bad car make up for a good driver or a good car for a bad driver? It's a question that nobody will ever be able to answer.
You also enjoy the Zolder circuit with the fast sections and hard braking?
Yeah, Zolder is quite a challenging circuit. It's not necessarily the safest, but it's definitely a challenging track.
Are you looking forward for the rest of the season with the chassis becoming more competitive, with more development?
Definitely, because I think once we get our homework sorted out, we'll be all right.
Starting in third position, what's your race plan to bring about a win?
We haven't got one yet. No, there will be. There always is some sort of I would say mainly it depends on tires. What sort of tire you decide to run from the assortment that Goodyear supplies you. You know, is there a weak link that you have to nurse in the beginning when the car is very heavy on fuel, or is it a tire that you can really go fairly freely on? We'll see.
Fourth quickest, and in fact a bit disappointed only to be fourth, is this man, the Englishman Derek Warwick, squeezing his stocky frame down into the tight cockpit of the Renault Turbo. In Friday's first day of qualifying, he had pole position, and he hoped to go even faster for Saturday. He did go faster, but not fast enough, not quick enough to stay ahead of the Ferraris, not quick enough to stay ahead of Rosberg, but a quick time nevertheless. We'll be right back after this short break with more ESPN Auto Racing 84 and the start of the Belgian Grand Prix. Race day has dawned bright and clear and sunny here in Belgium, and all around Zolder a huge crowd of excited Belgians have queued up for the best positions since dawn. Now their waiting is almost over because the 26-car grid is down there, lined up before the final warm-up lap. When they'll get the warmth into their tyres, they'll get their engines warmed, and they'll wait for the red light and then the green that will start the 70-lap race. Up at the front, with the Ferrari mechanics fussing around, is Michele Alboreto in car number 27, on that pole position that he worked so hard to get during qualifying. Just behind him, and to his right, his teammate René Arnoux in Ferrari number 28. The Belgian crowd waits. A hush falls as they start to clear the grid preparatory to the final warm-up. The green flag sends them on their way. Ferrari 27 Alboreto, Ferrari 28 Arnoux, Williams 6 Rosberg, and then Derek Warwick, Elio De Angelis, Finkelhock, Patrese and Alain Prost as they go round the left-hander that starts off the circuit through the chicane behind the pits, weaving to warm up their tyres and ensure that there's the maximum grip right from the start. There's Piquet, Mansell, Shiva, Tombe, Niki Lauda. From this chicane, the circuit goes round the double right-hander at Terlamen, the tight bottom gear corner at Boulderberg Bocht, two more tight chicanes called after great drivers of the past, the Jochen Rindt Bocht and the Jackie X Bocht, before the downhill drag towards the start-finish line. Alboreto leads the field slowly round. X, Rosberg, Warwick follow him. the Black Lotus of Elio De Angelis and the yellow ATS of Winkelhock. Further down the grid we have De Cesaris in the Ligier, Lauda in the Marlboro McLaren, Jacques Lafitte in the second Williams Honda, former Venezuelan world motorcycle champion Johnny Cecotto in the Tolman, Thierry Boutsen, the Belgian, with the new Arrows Turbo BMW. And as the only Belgian in the race, he is the centre of a lot of eyes here. But now all the drivers' eyes are on the starting lights. Everybody present and correct, all 26 cars lined up in staggered echelon. There are the lights. The red light means get ready, the green light means go. There's the red. There's the green, the field move away, and Keke Rosberg falters. Keke Rosberg almost stalls in the Williams Honda, and Nelson Piquet's forced to go on the grass to go round him, but it's Alboreto who's made the best start, and a wonderful start from Derek Warwick in the yellow Renault, who's come up into second place. René Arnoux is third, but it's Warwick who went by him in the yellow Renault, so Alboreto in the Ferrari leads. Derek Warwick is second in the Renault, third is René Arnoux, and fourth, having made an equally good start, is the German Manfred Winkelhock. But right at the back of the field is poor Keke Rosberg. His car moved when the light went green, but it then faltered and came to a complete halt. And Rosberg is right at the back of the 26-car field, right at the front, Alboreto, Warwick, Arnoux, Winkelhock, and then Riccardo Patrese, who's also made a good start in the green Alfa Romeo. But on the first of 70 laps, Alboreto is right out in front and seems to be determined to stay there. Down towards the tight Boulderberg corner, bottom gear for the first of 70 times, and the field close up under braking. Elio De Angelis is now ahead of Patrese. Patrick Tombe is trying to make up places from his lowly grid position. Haino waves Keke Rosberg through. Already Rosberg has passed 4 or 5 cars, but up at the front into the Jackie X corner for the first time, and on down towards the completion of the first lap go Alboreto, Warwick, Arnoux, Winkelhock, Elio De Angelis and Patrese in the Alfa. The left-hander at Sterewacht, third gear, long and slippery. De Angelis goes through. On towards the canal turn. That's the double apex right-hander. The short straight up to Lucien Bianchi box. That's this corner. And then the long back straight, which ends in the tight chicane behind the pits. Ferrari, Renault, Ferrari, ATS. Alboreto leading as he led the first Grand Prix of the year in Brazil, through that chicane, up over the brow of the hill, down the other side, and towards the double corner of Terlani. That's the first apex. There's the second apex. And Alboreto doesn't seem to be getting away from Derek Warwick at this stage, and René Arnoux sitting behind, waiting to see what happens, weaving under braking for the tight bottom gear corner at Boulderberg. And somebody's going very slowly. That's one of the Tolmans already in trouble. And the blue flags wave, but he doesn't need to be told that the whole of the field is pouring past him. That's Johnny Cecotto in trouble already with the Tolman. Already 2 of the 70 laps completed, and the Ferrari and the Renault spacing out a little bit at the front, with Arnoux still third. Sterewacht corner, there indeed is Johnny Cecotto, who takes the slip road towards the pits, and his race is already run. A little glance in the mirror for Alboreto as he goes through the chicane, and he is pulling away from Derek Warwick, of that there is no doubt. But Arnoux doesn't seem to be getting any closer to Warwick, and all 3 of these leaders pulling away now from 4th man Winkelhock in the ATS. Terlamen once more, down to Boulderberg. So the Ferrari, the Renault, the Ferrari in sight. Those are the first 3. The ATS of Winkelhock is 4th. In 5th place now, it's Elio De Angelis, and in 6th place, Riccardo Patrese with the Alfa Romeo. 7th, car number 7, which is Alain Prost in the Marlboro McLaren, but he's out of touch with the leaders at the moment. And as they come down the start-finish straight once more, there is no sign of the green Alfa Romeo number 22 of Riccardo Patrese. Patrese, who was running 6th, is missing, and already that must be the 2nd retirement of this race. So a race of attrition here at Zolder already, this very punishing, very tight circuit. There is Patresi's car. It's parked by the side of the road against the Armco barrier. No damage. It looks just like some sort of mechanical failure. And indeed, Patresi is trudging back to the pits. Still Derek Warwick, the meat in the Ferrari sandwich at the front of this race. And Alboreto just easing out a little tiny bit on every lap. But Warwick not able to close because he's got to concentrate on keeping a defensive line with Alboreto's teammate René Arnoux dogging his every move. So the Belgian Grand Prix being run already at a furious pace. We'll be right back after this short message with more ESPN Auto Racing 84. As you rejoin us here in Belgium, drama for the current World Championship leader Alain Prost in the red and white Marlboro McLaren. He's going very slowly between the Canal Turn and the Lucien Bianchi box. He was running in 6th place and indeed was starting to close on the cars in front of him, but now they're long gone and he's coming to a halt, the back of the car smoking appreciably, and I think there's no doubt that the Frenchman's race is run. Alboreto, meanwhile, has pulled out quite comfortably from Derek Warwick, a big lead now. And René Arnoux in turn, yes, there is Prost's car absolutely on fire. So, serious mechanical maladies for Alain Prost's McLaren. That means Niki Lauda is the sole surviving McLaren in the race. He's now running in 11th place and not really in the points battle at the moment. Coming up into the points battle now is the reigning world champion Nelson Piquet in the Brabham #1. He is now on the tail of Elio De Angelis, the Italian in the back Lotus. Here they are coming into Terlamen. De Angelis in the Lotus is 5th. Piquet in the Brabham has come up into 6th place. You get a championship point for finishing 6th. You get 2 points for finishing 5th. And both of these drivers want to move up higher than that through Boulderberg. De Angelis and Piquet. And remember that Piquet has scored no championship points at all so far this year, and in this 3rd Grand Prix he wants to be 3rd time lucky. This is the Jackie X chicane, on now to the start-finish straight, and it'll be interesting to see which is the faster car in the straight section. Can the white car, the Brabham with the BMW engine, close on the black car, the Lotus with the Renault engine? And in fact, it's in the corners that the Brabham gets closer, and under sheer acceleration down the straights, the Lotus does seem to be able to pull away. 3.9 seconds is Warwick's gap from Alboreto, and Arnoux is a further 3.1 seconds behind. He's got Winkelhock very, very close to him indeed, so the first 3 have spaced out just a little bit, but René Arnoux' 3rd place looking in danger from the German in the ATS. And still the 5th and 6th battle goes on, with Piquet close but not close enough through the chicane behind the pits. De Angelis clouts the curb briefly, and we've got the Belgian in the pits, that's Thierry Boutsen. Oh dear, it looks serious. The engine cover comes off the BMW turbo in the back of the Arrows. This is the first Arrows race with turbocharged power, and it doesn't seem to be going well. Meanwhile, 2 turbos battling here, and the Brabham is alongside. The Brabham is through. Out of the Jackie X chicane. Piquet was just that much quicker. He was close enough to be able to get a run on Elio De Angelis, and he was alongside and through, and there was nothing De Angelis could do about it. A little puff of flame from the back of the Brabham there as he changes down. Alboreto goes on his way, a long gap now before we see Derek Warwick. So Warwick apparently content at the moment to sit behind Alboreto and not to try to stay with him or to seek to take the lead. And remember that most of these drivers are going to have to make pit stops for fresh tyres. We don't at this point know which ones, because Derek Warwick told me before the race that he was going to start on slightly harder compound tyres, and he was going to try to do the whole race without a stop. I'm sure the way Alboreto is running away with this race at the front of the field that he is on the softer compound tyres. We're certainly going to see a pit stop for the Ferrari. Will the Renault be able to go the whole distance without a stop? The refuelling stops, which we had last year, of course, have now been banned. No car may take on more fuel during the race, and no fuel tank on any of these cars may be more than 220 litres. Now that means that their turbochargers mustn't be turned up to too much boost, or they'll use their fuel too quickly. So the whole race, there's Thierry Boutsen rejoining after a long stop for work on his BMW engine in the back of that Arrows. That's Patrick Tambay leading Niki Lauda, and goodness me, that's Keke Rosberg. Keke Rosberg in the Williams is the third of those three cars, and he has come absolutely storming up the field. He's now already in 10th place, having started 26th. So the man from Finland, the ex-world champion, in the British car with the Japanese engine, is absolutely flying. He's got Niki Lauda ahead of him. Ahead of Niki Lauda is Patrick Tambay. Tambay is, of course, Derek Warwick's teammate in the Renault. Lauda closing on Tambay, and Keke Rosberg closing on the two of them. A great midfield battle for 8th place through the chicane, and Lauda very, very close to Tambay as they go up the hill, over the brow, down the other side, and Rosberg is up with them too, into Terlamen. Now Lauda's in a difficult position in the middle of these three. He wants to attack the Renault in front of him, but he mustn't do it in such a way to leave a gap, leave the door open in racing parlance, which will allow Rosberg to get up alongside him. Through Boulderberg, the Jochenrindt chicane immediately after it, hard on the power, 600 horsepower going through the back wheels, Lauda in the middle, and Rosberg having a look at the inside. He dives back into the slipstream as they go through the Jackie X corner onto the long straight now, and look how close is Rosberg. Rosberg is attacking Lauda. Rosberg up the inside, on the brakes as they go into the corner, chops back across to take his line, and Keke Rosberg has taken 9th place from Niki Lauda, just as Niki Lauda was trying to take 8th place from Patrick Tambay. Now, is Lauda going to stay with Rosberg, and are they both going to be able to get past the Renault? We see again the Williams pass the McLaren, and a little weave under braking there from Rosberg in the Williams as he's hard on the brakes, leaving his braking as deep into the corner there on that overtaking manoeuvre as he can. And Lauda now hangs back a little bit. Lauda is going to let Rosberg get on with it. For the moment, he's going to just stay and watch. So they come into Boulderberg once more. Tambay in the Renault, Rosberg in the Williams, Lauda in the McLaren. And Lauda's teammate Prost, remember, is already out of the race. Up to the Jackie X chicane. This was where Rosberg was able to get a run on Lauda. Can he do the same thing on the Renault? The Renault has an awful lot of power, but they are side by side as they come down the long straight. And once again, Rosberg has to leave his braking very, very late. And he takes a tight line through that apex. Tambay fights back briefly as they go into the canal turn. But Rosberg's having absolutely none of that. He's hard on the loud pedal, and he's pulling away. We see it again. Tambay doesn't make it easy for him, but Rosberg, clinging to a tight line, goes through in the Williams. Lots of excitement here in Belgium. We've got Nigel Mansell's Lotus number 12 coming in for an early stop, and we'll be right back after this short break with more ESPN Auto Racing 84. And the punishing pace of this Belgian Grand Prix at Zolder claims another victim, Jacques Lafitte. Keke Rosberg's teammate with the Williams Honda has come to a halt, and still this man, Michele Alboreto, on his 16th lap now of the 70, on his way with this comfortable cushion back to second man Derek Warwick. Still in third place is René Arnoux with the other Ferrari. Still in fourth place and going well, the ATS of Manfred Winkelhock, and still the battle for 5th and 6th places, but it's Piquet who has now gone ahead in the Brabham of Elio De Angelis in the Lotus. That's Warwick coming through to lap Thierry Boutsen. He's 8.5 seconds behind the leading Ferrari, but he's 8.5 seconds in front of this Ferrari. In the picture now, René Arnoux, who has got now 3 cars behind him, because Winkelhock is still 4th. Nelson Piquet is now 5th and closing, and not very far behind is the 6th place battle on the screen now. The Lotus and the Alfa Romeo of De Angelis and Eddie Cheever. Cheever using every inch of the road there. They're passing one of the back markers. Oh, and Cheever very nearly had nowhere to go there. And Thierry Boutsen back into the pits once more, not having a happy race at all, with the BMW-powered Arrows. And the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th places now has Keke Rosberg in 8th place. Eddie Cheever 7th, but Rosberg is fighting. What a wonderful drive up the field this man has had. Rosberg goes into 7th place. Cheever fights back, but has to give best. De Angelis ahead of them in 6th place, pulls away a little bit while that's going on, but Cheever isn't going to give up. Cheever attacks over the brow. Eddie Cheever, the American in the Alfa Romeo, fighting back against Rosberg, the Finn in the British Williams. We see it again, Rosberg alongside and in front. Cheever chops back as they come in braking for the chicane, but Rosberg's much too old a hand for that, and he keeps the door firmly shut in Cheever's face. Now, the Lotus at the front has pulled away a little bit while all of that's going on. How long is it going to take Keke Rosberg, the middle of those three cars, to close on the Renault? And Cheever's still with Rosberg. Cheever isn't giving up. Meanwhile, ahead of them, there's been another place change because Manfred Winkelhock has lost his 4th place. At last, Nelson Piquet has got by. So, behind the Ferrari-Renault-Ferrari trio at the front, it's now Nelson Piquet's Brabham 4th, Manfred Winkelhock's ATS 5th, and 6th still Elio De Angelis, but Keke Rosberg's going to change that as soon as he can. Cheever at the back of that group. That is the ATS. That is the Lotus. That is the Williams Honda. And with 22 laps completed, you see the gaps. Warwick is 13.5 seconds behind Michele Alboreto, but is 18 seconds ahead of Arnoux. And now Arnoux, Piquet, Winkelhock, De Angelis, Rosberg and Cheever, those 6 cars, all in a wonderful train, battling over 3rd place. At the front of this queue is the Ferrari, but Piquet is closing all the time in the canal turn. Winkelhock following them on in 5th place. The ATS, the yellow and black ATS, having a very strong race indeed. Down to the Lucien Bianchi corner, Ferrari, Brabham, and ATS over the bumps down the back straight, the heat shimmering on the road, and Piquet not looking to overtake yet, but looking to drive as neatly and as tidily as he possibly can. Over the brow, down to Tel Arme. Arnoux responding to the challenge a little bit now, pulling away perhaps a fraction from Piquet. But as they come down to the bottom gear corner at Boulderberg, the slowest portion of the circuit, the car's weaving under braking down to about 40 miles an hour. Out under hard acceleration into the Jochenrindt curve, they're all closing up once more. And now as they come down to the Jackie X corner, Piquet is starting to close on Arnoux once more. Out of the Jackie X chicane, on down the start-finish straight. And in the background, a flash of a white and yellow car. Keke Rosberg has done it. Keke Rosberg has passed Elio De Angelis' Lotus at last. We didn't see it, but it's happened. So, René Arnoux 3rd, Nelson Piquet 4th, Manfred Winkelhock 5th, and Keke Rosberg, the man who started the race in 26th position, is now 6th and in the championship points, and Nelson Piquet's going to challenge. Nelson Piquet's alongside and through at the Lucien Bianchi corner, a place that I've never seen a modern Grand Prix car pass another one, because that's a very fast, difficult 4th gear right-hander. Piquet just slithers past, and a surprised René Arnoux can do absolutely nothing about it, and that's Patrick Tambay in the pits. Patrick Tambay has the first of our routine tyre stops. 4 new wheels and tyres on Patrick Tambay's Renault. He's out of the pits once more, but Tambay has been running well down the field, in fact, clearly not as happy with the handling of his Renault as is Derek Warwick, who passes him now. Derek Warwick laps him. Warwick still in 2nd place, and the 4th placed Ferrari is in. Now this is René Arnoux, having just lost his 3rd place to Nelson Piquet. Clearly feels that new tyres are going to help him on his way to make that place up. The stopwatch shows how long the car's been stationary. They're changing 4 wheels and tyres, and it's a slow one. This is a slow one. They had a trouble with the front left-hand wheel. That That was 18.5 stationary seconds for René Arnoux, roughly double the time that it takes these crack pit teams to change tyres, and that won't have pleased René Arnoux at all. He's now just warming up his new set of tyres. He won't go absolutely flat out straight away. That is François Hainaut walking away from his Ligier. François Hainaut retires. He was well down the field. This man is well up the field. It's Michele Alboreto still in the lead with Ferrari number 27. And at the moment, he's all on his own. We think he's going to make a stop for fresh tyres. We don't know whether Derek Warwick in second place will. We don't equally know whether Nelson Piquet in third place will. But his teammate there, number 28, you saw a glimpse of him, is now almost a complete lap behind. That's René Arnoux, who was in fourth place till his rather tardy stop for fresh tyres, and he is now going to be lapped by his teammate Michele Alboreto, who we think has a pit stop for tyres still to make. More race action, more pit stop action from ESPN after this short break. You rejoin us in Belgium as second man Derek Warwick starts his 29th lap. Still Michele Alboreto out in front in the Ferrari, and still in third place Nelson Piquet with the Brabham. In fourth place now, after a wonderful drive up the field, is Keke Rosberg in the Williams Honda, and in fifth place the American Eddie Cheever going very strongly with the Alfa Romeo. Sixth is Manfred Winkelhock. There he is with the ATS, and seventh, the black car behind him, is Lotus man Elio De Angelis. So De Angelis out of the championship points at the moment, but fighting to stay with... Oh, and that's a smoking car there. That is Eddie Cheever. Eddie Cheever with a blown engine. Eddie Cheever with smoke coming out of his exhaust pipes. He has a quick look round the back. Despairing gesture. Once again, the Alfa Romeo has let Eddie Cheever down, and Cheever out of the race, and Keke Rosberg very much in the race. Keke Rosberg is now on the tail of the third man, Nelson Piquet. This fantastic drive has taken Rosberg from 26th place to 4th, and he's on the world champion's tail for 3rd. Out of the Jackie X chicane, down the long straight. This time Rosberg isn't quite close enough in the slipstream to get into contention. But even so, he has a cheeky little look at the inside line as they break for the left-hander at Sterrewacht. And now Niki Lauda in the pits for his pit stop. He is well down. He has been running in 8th place. His teammate Alain Prost already out of the race. The new tyres going on for Niki Lauda, who sits impassively in the cockpit. Oh, and it's a quick stop. 9.5 seconds. 9.57 seconds was how long the car was stationary. And meanwhile, we're back with this tremendous battle for third place. Oh, and Piquet's off! The battle for third place is won by Keke Rosberg. Nelson Piquet made a little mistake, a most untypical mistake there. He went wide on the tight bottom gear right-hander at Volderberg Bocht, and that was all that Rosberg needed to drive straight through the inside and pull away. Keke Rosberg now away in third place, all the way up from 26th. And that high-speed man in the pits is Derek Warwick. Derek Warwick, the second place man, is in the pits. Watch the stopwatch. The jacks go on the car. This is a very, very important stop. If this can be quicker than Alboreto's, when he stops, then it could affect the result of the race. And they finished at the back, they finished at the front. It's 11.5 seconds. It's not perfect, but it's very good. All the power goes through the spinning rear wheels as the British driver accelerates down the pit road. Once again, he rejoins just by his teammate. And there is the other yellow car that's been running at the front. That's the German ATS of Winkelhock. And he gets his fresh tyres, the mechanics swarming over the back of the car. It's not quite such a quick one. Yes, the right-hand rear wheel is being slow. Spurts of flame from the exhaust as Winkelhock keeps the engine running. Come on, get it off the jacks, he says. Now it's off the jack. 27 seconds. That was a slow one. 27 seconds for the ATS of Winkelhock. It was the right rear wheel that held them up, but Winkelhock is back in the race. but he is now well out of the championship points hunt, and that's a shame for him. Derek Warwick now ahead of Nelson Piquet. Now that's very interesting, because that pinpoints for us exactly where Warwick has come out. Warwick has come out in front of Nelson Piquet on his fresh tyres after his pit stops, so Derek Warwick is third. Alboreto the leader, but he still has to stop. Keke Rosberg now in a stunning second place, but he presumably has a pit stop still to come. Derek Warwick, with his pit stop made, is in third place, ahead of fourth man Nelson Piquet. Warwick is the front runner who has already stopped. Now, the real $64,000 question is, are all these other front runners, apart from Derek Warwick, going to stop, or are one or two of them going to try and gamble on making their tyres last to the end of the race? Here comes Alboreto to lap Teo Fabi. The white Brabham there is the Brabham number 2. That is Teo Fabi, Nelson Piquet's teammate, and behind him, the blue car number 3 is the English driver Martin Brundle with the Tyrrell. Martin Brundle, who uses a non-turbocharged engine. Oh, and that's Alboreto off! Alboreto, the leader, is off the track. He's back on again, but just as we saw Nelson Piquet slide off the circuit with all four wheels in the dirt, Michele Alboreto, the race leader, came dangerously near those Armco barriers at the left-hander at Sterovac. I think his rear tyres must be shot, because look how the back of the car hangs out. And he manages, by a miracle, bouncing across the curb to get the car back onto the tarmac without getting any nearer the Armco barrier than he wants to. And he's back on the circuit, but that must have given Michele Alboreto a real fright. He still has the lead. A long way back is the second man, Keke Rosberg, in the Williams. But that shows that this circuit must be getting very, very slippery indeed. There's Teo Fabi and Martin Brundle, who went past the leader again, unlapped themselves while he was busy driving through the dirt. And as Fabi and Brundle come out of the Jochen-Rindt chicane, behind them the two Ferraris on different laps. The leader, 27, oh, and he's in the pits, he's in the pit lane, he's coming in for his tyres. So that moment was prophetic. His slide off the track has convinced him that he does need to come in for fresh rubber. And so the leader, Michele Alboreto, is in the pits now. This pit stop will decide the outcome of an awful lot of this motor race. If they can get him back into the race, if they can get him back out again without... Oh, it's a very quick one. It's a quick one indeed. 11.34 seconds to change all four wheels. No problems at all. Michele Alboreto comes out again of the pit lane, straight back into the race. And Michele Alboreto keeps the lead. So, Ferrari number 27 has made its pit stop. Ferrari number 27 has had a narrow escape from disaster against the Armco barrier. That's Keke Rosberg there, lapping back marker number 10, Jonathan Palmer. The English doctor, whose Ram parts is sponsored by the American Skoal Bandit tobacco people. Rosberg then, on his way in second place, but he's got a pit stop still to make, and Derek Warwick looking very good in third place after his stop. Fourth is Nelson Piquet, fifth Elio De Angelis, 30 laps of the 70 left to run, and coming into the championship points battle now in a splendid sixth place, the young German driver Stefan Belloff, who's driving the non-turbocharged Cosworth-powered Tyrrell very, very quickly indeed. He is in sixth place now, ahead of Teo Fabi in Brabham number 2. Oh, and that's Winkelhock in trouble. Winkelhock going very, very slowly. Winkelhock, who's well down after that somewhat delayed tyre change stop, but he's come to a complete stop now on the back straight. The rest of the field funneling by. The marshals run to his aid. So after such a storming drive in the early stages, sadly it seems that the Germans' race is run, but much more action still to come. We'll return with more ESPN Auto Racing 84 after this short message. Back at the Belgian Grand Prix as Keke Rosberg goes on his way. He is 19 seconds now behind race leader Alboreto in the Ferrari. Just under 5 seconds behind him, Derek Warwick in the Renault. But Rosberg has a pit stop still to come. Warwick has had his stop. Piquet is 4th in the Brabham. De Angelis 5th in the Lotus. Stefan Bellof, the young German, still 6th. There he was, a glimpse of him at the back of this trio. Patrick Tambay about to be lapped at the front. De Angelis in the middle. And 6th man, Stefan Bellof, without the benefit of turbocharged power in the back of the Tyrrell there. He's got a 3-litre unturbocharged Cosworth V8. He's chasing a 1.5-litre turbocharged Renault engine in the back of the Lotus in front of him. The Renault engine has more power than his Cosworth, but Bellof is driving hard. And as they're coming up to lap Tambay holding his position as they come into the chicane, and Bellof is right up there behind Elio De Angelis. So it's a Renault being passed by a Renault Lotus with a Tyrrell Cosworth on their tail. Ahead of them another car to be lapped. That's Jonathan Palmer in the Ram Heart once more. Palmer keeps over and Tambay goes through, but in fact De Angelis can't go through, nor can Bellof. And so Palmer is stuck in between them. Tambay now coming out of the chicane, and Bellof is going alongside. Bellof goes one side, De Angelis goes the other. De Angelis goes through. Bellof switches back and snicks in behind the Lotus, leaving Jonathan Palmer very quickly behind. And Bellof is driving very hard indeed. Bellof attacking the Renault-powered Lotus as they go into the left-hander at Sterowacht. On his tail into Canal Turn. This is the battle now for 5th place, and Stefan Bellof running in the championship points in the supposedly less competitive Tyrrell. He's very close as they come out of Canal Turn, and meanwhile here now is Keke Rosberg's pit stop. Keke Rosberg in 2nd place, comes in for fresh tyres, and Derek Warwick is even now going past into 2nd place, but it looks a nice quick stop for Rosberg. Once again, it's the right-hand rear wheel that is the slowest, but that one is done too, and he's away. Rosberg is away back into the race after 15.7 seconds, and that will have dropped him to 6th place. So Rosberg goes from 2nd place to 6th in his pit stop. Michele Alboreto's Ferrari still the leader. Derek Warwick now back into 2nd place with the Renault. Nelson Piquet in 3rd place with the Brabham. Elio De Angelis now up to 4th with the Lotus. Stefan Bellof still on his tail is now 5th, and Keke Rosberg now 6th. Oh, and what's gone wrong there? That is Teo Fabi's car, apparently on fire on the left of the picture. On the right, Andrea De Cesaris parking his Ligier with a very clouted left-hand rear wheel. That looks like the bit of Armco barrier that De Cesaris has clouted. I think he's run wide coming out of that corner, and in a quite separate incident, as the marshals run across the road to tend to De Cesaris's car, in a quite separate incident, it looks as though Teo Fabi's BMW engine has cried enough. Meanwhile, coming up to pass Ayrton Senna, the Brazilian, to lap him is the Ferrari of René Arnoux, and Arnoux is now 7th, so Arnoux is staging a comeback. That's Alboreto in Ferrari 27, still comfortably in the lead, almost half a minute in fact, so comfortable is that lead over Derek Warwick after Warwick's pit stop. But René Arnoux, who had dropped a long way back after his pit stop, is now coming back into the picture with the other Ferrari, and he is now in 7th place, and indeed closing on Keke Rosberg, who, after his pit stop, is 6th. Alboreto on his way through that corner that caught him out earlier, but now he's determined to make no mistakes. And it has to be said, the pressure is not on him. Derek Warwick in 2nd place, half a minute behind, not close enough to pose a threat to Michele Alboreto. There is Warwick indeed, and Warwick himself driving a lonely race with Nelson Piquet a very long way adrift in 3rd place. So now we're getting to the stage of the race where the drivers starting to get tired, the surface of the track starting to break up, their machinery perhaps starting to get a little tired and a little loose. And it's now that they've got to drive consistently. They must make sure they make no mistakes at all. They must stay on that dark groove of tarmac where all the rubber is and not stray off it where the debris is. And meanwhile, pressure of every sort here, because De Angelis and Beloff go through, and behind them it's Rosberg and Arnoux absolutely tied together. So René Arnoux is right up with Keke Rosberg now. What a dramatic and exciting race Rosberg has had. He's stormed all the way up to second place. He's now down in 6th place, and he's got René Arnoux challenging him hard in the Ferrari. The first 3 may be spaced out, but 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, De Angelis, Beloff, Rosberg and Arnoux are very, very close indeed, and it's becoming a 4-car battle for 4th place as they go down behind the pits, down to the chicane. De Angelis brakes, Beloff brakes. Rosberg and Arnoux follow him through. Up over the brow, down towards Terlamen. Oh, and Beloff on the grass there. And another Tyrrell on the grass, on the dirt and parked, and lacking a front wheel. That is the other Tyrrell, number 3 of Martin Brundle, and the front left-hand wheels off that car. Brundle had just that lap, had his pit stop for fresh tyres, and I wonder if perhaps the mechanic didn't get that front left-hand wheel on correctly before Brundle rushed out of the pits. There's his teammate Beloff, number 4, and there is the battle between Rosberg and Arnoux, with De Angelis and Beloff pulling away a little bit, because it's now that Rosberg is driving defensively. He's trying to keep the door shut, but the Ferrari is challenging. The Ferrari is through, going into Sterrewacht. The Ferrari goes past Keke Rosberg on sheer power. Arnoux leaves his braking to the last moment. We see it again. He's not even right in the slipstream, but he gets close enough to pull to one side, and on sheer power dives down the inside of Rosberg into that corner. So Rosberg is demoted to 7th, Arnoux is 6th. How long is it going to take René Arnoux to set about Stefan Beloff? Not very long, because he does Beloff down to the chicane. So Arnoux goes from 7th to 6th to 5th, and now he's up with Elio De Angelis. Lots of action still to come. Join us for the finish of the Belgian Grand Prix after this short message. The closing stages of the Belgian Grand Prix, the battle for 4th place, De Angelis, Arnoux, Beloff and Rosberg, almost tied together through the Jochenrit chicane. De Angelis is challenged by the Ferrari of René Arnoux, and René Arnoux goes through as they go into the Jackie X chicane. At the back of that queue, it's Keke Rosberg. Now, what can Rosberg do about this? Rosberg is going to challenge Stefan Beloff. He's alongside Beloff. He's past Beloff. He's chopping in front of Beloff. He's past De Angelis in one fantastic manoeuvre. Keke Rosberg goes from 7th to 5th. Beloff tries to follow him through but can't. And Rosberg sets off after Arnoux. We're going to see it again. Arnoux at the front, De Angelis behind him. At the back, Rosberg goes to Beloff's right, chops across in front of him, and then goes to De Angelis' left in one wonderful sweeping manoeuvre that takes him from 7th place to 5th. Now, Arnoux has been able to get away a little bit while all of that's been going on, but I think Rosberg has the bit well and truly between his teeth. The order still: Ferrari lead, Alboreto; Renault second, Derek Warwick; Brabham third, Nelson Piquet; and now Ferrari 4th, René Arnoux; Williams 5th, Keke Rosberg; Lotus 6th, Elio De Angelis. There is the leader, Michele Alboreto, once again on his smooth, tidy, relaxed way, right out at the front of a race which he's led from pole position, and despite that one mistake, he now has almost 39 seconds lead. A further 20 seconds behind Warwick is Piquet, so those 3 very spaced out. But look, Arnoux's gap to Piquet is now only 3 seconds, and Arnoux is closing on Nelson Piquet for that 3rd place. Arnoux's progress up the field has been absolutely meteoric. Just like Keke Rosberg, we've had the excitement of seeing Arnoux charge up through the field, making up places left and right, and Nelson Piquet is the next man on René Arnoux' hit list. Through Terlamen, goes Alboreto. And here is the battle, and you don't need a stopwatch to see that gap now. Nelson Piquet with just 1 car length or less, a lot less, because Arnoux looks at the outside. The Brabham slides across ahead of him and shuts the door. Coming back towards the Lucien Bianchi corner, this is where Piquet passed Arnoux. What seems like an age ago, earlier in the race. This time Arnoux it is who's putting the pressure on Piquet in this race of changing fortunes. But remember that Piquet has done this whole race on 1 set of tyres, whereas Arnoux has fresh rubber. Through the chicane at the back of the circuit. Up over the brow. Brabham leads Ferrari. Ferrari nibbling one side and then the other. Down towards the bottom gear corner where Piquet threw away a place earlier when he slid off in front of Keke Rosberg. And as they come up to that corner, Arnoux alongside, under-braking, Arnoux is passed. René Arnoux goes easily past the Brabham as they accelerate away through the chicane after the Boulderberg box on towards the Jackie X chicane. We see it once again. Piquet unable to do anything about it as he takes his line under braking for the corner. Arnoux is up the inside, driving tight into the apex and is away. So all the pit stops have now, as it were, come out in the wash, because we're back where we were before the stop started. We've got a Ferrari first, a Renault second and a Ferrari third, Alboreto, Warwick and Arnoux first, second and third. But Nelson Piquet, who's gone the whole distance on 1 set of tyres, is fourth. Elio De Angelis still there in 5th place, and this is Beloff in the pits. Stefan Beloff into the pits. They're not changing tyres, they're just topping up the water injection system, which helps to ballast the car, and it took less than 8 seconds. 7.99 seconds was the time that he was stationary. He comes out again in 7th place. 7th place was where he was when he came in. He doesn't lose a place, therefore. But at the moment, anyway, Stefan Beloff out of the championship points. And now, another challenge for Nelson Piquet. Once again, Piquet finds himself having to hold off the charging Keke Rosberg down to that fateful corner once more. And this time, Piquet does it all correctly. He keeps his 4th place, but Rosberg in 5th place is really pressuring him. And it may be now that Piquet is thinking he was wrong to try and do the whole race on 1 set of harder compound tyres. His tyres must now be very tired indeed. He's in the slipstream. He's going to get a lovely tow from the Brabham, sucking him along in the air behind. He's up the inside. He's taking that tight line. Piquet moves across to try and shut the door, but too late. And on goes Keke Rosberg into 4th place. We see it again, an absolutely traditional manoeuvre. Get alongside, have the inside line, and when the brakes go on, you stay your ground and take the apex ahead. And now yet more drama, because René Arnoux has lost that hard-won 3rd place. He's spun the Ferrari, we're told, away out of our sight, somewhere around the back of the circuit. Ferrari number 28 has spun. He's lost 2 places. So as we watch Michele Alboreto's Ferrari squeezing past Elio De Angelis' Lotus to lap it, the order is now Alboreto's Ferrari first, Warwick's Renault second, Keke Rosberg third in the Williams Honda, Nelson Piquet is 4th, René Arnoux down in 5th place, and Elio De Angelis, who is in the picture now, having just been lapped by the leader. Elio De Angelis is 6th. So in these closing stages, it was going to be a Ferrari 1 and 3, we thought, but it's now Ferraris 1 and 5, Renault 2, Williams 3, and Brabham 4. And the Belgian Grand Prix on this tight, bumpy little Zolder circuit has, as so often, proved to be a race of attrition, a race of changing fortunes. We've only got, still running, 9 cars. There are the first 6, Elio De Angelis lapped. Oh, and that's Tombe spinning off! Another spin. Tombe this time, Patrick Tombe. We wondered for a moment whether it was second man Derek Warwick in Renault number 16. It's not. It's Tombe in Renault number 15. He is well down near the tail of the field, and that's Nelson Piquet. Nelson Piquet has come to a halt. He's out of the car. Nelson Piquet in 4th place with a comprehensively blown-up engine. So, with just a couple of laps to go, Nelson Piquet again is out of the race. Nelson Piquet again loses all chance of scoring points. And that Brabham must be very comprehensively damaged by the engine blow-up because it's immovable. Normally the driver will get the car off the track as far as he can, but as Nelson Piquet watches from the Armco barrier and as Michele Alboreto reels off his penultimate lap, the Brabham is out of the race. So, up to 4th now comes René Arnoux, and this is the last lap now. The 70th lap for Michele Alboreto. He started from pole position. He made a perfect pit stop, and now as the man with the checkered flag gets ready, out of Canal Turn and on towards Lucien Bianchi-Bocht goes Ferrari number 27. No doubt watching on television at this moment in Italy will be 84-year-old Enzo Ferrari, and he will be remembering, no doubt, 2 years ago when it was Gilles Villeneuve driving Ferrari number 27 round this circuit for the last time. Still, Nelson Piquet stands furious and disappointed by his smoking Brabham, and still smoothly on his way goes Michele Alboreto to score his 3rd Grand Prix win, his 1st Grand Prix win since joining the Ferrari team just this season, into the final Jackie X chicane. The crowd starting to cheer as he comes into sight on the start-finish line. The Ferrari takes the checkered flag. Michele Alboreto wins the opening European race of the 1984 World Championship, scores 9 points to break Ferrari's duck for the year. And here comes now Derek Warwick. He nearly won in Brazil. He was 3rd 3 weeks ago in South Africa. He's going to be 2nd here in Belgium. And Keke Rosberg is stopping. Keke Rosberg, who should be coming home to finish 3rd on this final lap, has parked the Williams Honda out on the back of the circuit. Surely he must be out of petrol. That charging drive up through the field has been all for nothing. But on distance covered, he will get 4th place. Michele Alboreto, the first Italian to win a Grand Prix in a Ferrari for 17 years. Derek Warwick, his best ever performance, 2nd. René Arnoux, 3rd. Rosberg, a disappointed 4th. De Angelis, 5th for Lotus. And Beloff's first championship points in 6th place. Stay with us for a word with the winner.
Michele Alboreto, safely at home in the Ferrari motorhome. Michele, your 3rd Grand Prix victory. A flag-to-flag lead throughout the whole race. What was your toughest part of this event?
That's easier than Kyalami.
Yes, much easier, that's for sure.
Because my car was perfect from the start to the finish. I have absolutely no problem, and everything is getting better.
You got a fantastic start off the line, leading everyone into the first corner.
I have a little bit worse spin, but after, no problem. In 2nd and 3rd gear, I go.
Michele, there was one thing that was captured on Belgium television here with you going wide on one particular corner. What happened there? Were the tires going off at that point?
Yes, I finished my rear tires, and that's just 1 or 2 laps before my pit stop. After this problem, I have no problem at all. When I change tires, my car comes back very, very good.
And a fantastic pit stop it was, 11.3 seconds. You must be very happy with your crew.
I had to say thank you many times because I have a part of my victory.
9 points in the World Championship with none of the leaders really scoring any points. This gives you a very good situation for the championship.
We start now in the championship.
This has been John Bizignano and Simon Taylor. We've enjoyed bringing you this ESPN coverage of the Belgium Grand Prix. Thank you for joining us. Please watch your local listings for more ESPN Auto Racing 84 as we bring you the live coverage of the Canadian Grand Prix from Montreal on June 17th. So long from Zolder, Belgium.